This is a quick video about the B2 tourist visa, so a temporary visitor for pleasure when the primary purpose of your visit is for medical treatment. So what the interviewing officer is looking for and what you need to be prepared with for that consular interview. Hi, I'm Soyuna Tak. I'm an attorney and we release videos about the law, including immigration. If this is of interest to you and you want to know more about how the law can serve you, please subscribe. A little background first. So the definition of a temporary visitor for pleasure, it actually does include visiting the United States for medical treatment. Now, what if you're coming more for like a general health purpose? You want to go to maybe like a specialized spa or get some other types of health treatments. That I think goes towards that typical touristic purpose, and that would not really be medical. Now, if your medical treatment involves pregnancy, prenatal care, or giving birth in the United States, that goes into an entirely separate issue of birthright citizenship for the baby, as well as some of the abuses that have occurred under this. So that's a very loaded topic. That's going to be a separate video for sure. Now, all the other requirements for the B1/B2 visa or the tourist visa, let's say, still apply. So you cannot have any immigrant intent. You should maintain a residence that you intend to return to. You cannot engage in any unauthorized work, etc. For more on these requirements, please see the video, which will be linked below, that goes over this in greater detail. Now, you should remember that every non-immigrant visa applicant is presumed to have immigrant intent. And so it's your job to convince the officer otherwise. So beyond all of that, the officer, when your primary purpose is medical treatment in the United States, needs to be convinced that you have a legitimate reason that you're coming to the United States for medical treatment. So, for example, it could be something like the treatment is not available in your home country or in nearby countries. Or it might have to do with the quality of medical care or treatment, like this physician is the top of his field and this is why you're seeking treatment under his or her care. A second thing that you need to convince the officer of is that a U.S. doctor or facility or medical practitioner has actually agreed to give you treatment. So you can't apply for the visa and say, I know there's better treatment in the United States, so I'm going to go and then find a doctor. That's not going to work. You need to have this already arranged. You also need to provide the officer a reasonable estimate for the duration of your visit. And this has to make sense with the treatment. So if you're going for a certain procedure or surgery, then you need to account for the pre-surgery, visits that you may have, and then the procedure itself, as well as the recovery time. And this all has to make sense in light of the medical care that you need. You also need to provide the officer a reasonable estimate of the cost of treatment, as well as other associated or incidental expenses. So here, we're not talking just about your medical treatment itself. So that would be the costs for the doctor, the hospitalization, etc. But you also need to account for in your budget, all of your expenses for your visit to the United States. So that would include lodging, food, transportation, and again, if you have a type of procedure where you need, significant care after the treatment, then all of that has to be accounted for. Then regarding payment, the officer has to be convinced that you have the intent to pay all of your bills and expenses in the United States, and that you have the means to pay all of this from lawful sources. So when we talk about the source of funds, in other parts of immigration, such as for an E2 and definitely for an EB5 visa, that's a much stricter and more heavily documented requirement. But here, you don't have to do all that, but you do need to provide enough information to the officer where the officer believes that you have lawful money, and it could be you or someone else or some organization that is paying for you, but that you have the means to pay all of your bills from lawful sources. So let's talk about what documents you need to bring to the interview. And this is to help establish all the stuff that we just discussed. For this, the FAM, or Foreign Affairs Manual, which is what guides the officers and how to conduct these interviews, states that the consular officer can ask for the following documentation. 1, a medical diagnosis from a local physician. So the doctor where you are currently at, That explains the nature of your condition or your ailment and the reason that you need to seek medical treatment in the United States. You should also bring a letter from the physician or doctor, medical facility or practitioner in the United States that will be treating you. And that letter should state, what the specific condition is and that they're agreeing to treat you, what all the costs of that medical care, so that includes doctor's fees, hospitalization fees, and other medical, related expenses, what those are, as well as the timeline of that treatment. You also need to provide evidence that you have the ability to pay for all of your expenses in the United States. So that includes not just the medical fees and expenses, but all the other incidental and associated costs we discussed, such as your transportation costs, your living expenses, etc. So documents such as your bank account statements or other documents showing your assets, or it could be your tax returns, or it could be, other financial documents that show your ability to pay this. And again, if someone else is paying for this or an organization, then you would get documents showing that that organization or that other person is able to pay this. I hope this gives you a better idea of what you need to have prepared and what the officer is looking for in a tourist visa interview when the primary purpose of your visit is medical treatment in the United States. If you found this helpful, please like the video. And for more like it, please subscribe. Also, please feel free to comment below regarding any topics you'd like us to cover, because we're definitely looking at those as we consider future videos. I wish you a great visit to the United States. And if it's for medical treatment, I wish you a speedy recovery and good health. Have a wonderful rest of your day.